That is how you get through in this capitalist society. So if you don't have it, your life, if you are dead, you don't say, money can't buy life. A whole heap of people life money buy. Yeah, man. Money will get you out of certain sickness too. That your loved ones them can feel secure. Don't follow with them attack. Very important thing that. You know, people say, the Bible say, money is the root of all evil. It never say not like that. Not like that. It said the love of money is the root of all evil. The love of money. Follow that word. The love of money is the root of all evil.
But they bring me to a place where people have a, hey.
If you get up early in the morning, 6 o'clock, and come back to the yard 6 o'clock in the evening, for that thing where them call money.
While the fire bring me in a deep studio and say vice, no chronics. So me lift up my voice, understand it. People ask if me dep on chronic. Them fi know say
Where the president of America deal with you right now, I'm kind of schizophrenic sometime, and yes, demented sometime. But he's a power man. Power man, he want power. And you know that them say, Lord Acton say, power corrupt. Absolute power corrupt. Absolutely. You hear me say? The man say, power corrupt. Absolute power corrupt. Absolutely. And that is the way I'm going right now. Yeah, we see it straight in our face, yeah. Straight in our face. That it caused bully for people for dead. Corruption is on the increase in this part of the world, the Western world. And we have to know how to maneuver ourselves, or else we get caught tonight to the level where we become criminals. We become criminals. Now we see America going to Venezuela and take out the president and carry him to America, go try him. We also see that people rise up in Venezuela against the extraction of the man them call Maduro. And we also see a next set of people rise up and I say, it's good that him gone, happy riddance. But what next is the cry. After all of that, what next? Are we going to see another Iraq? Are we going to see another Iraq? Anyway, we have a clip here. We played it last night and people call me, pull up my WhatsApp page, them, my WhatsApp thing at the motor. Why, I just say you play a thing last night, you can't play it back because we don't hear nothing substantial about this thing here. And we got dig deep to find this report. So we're going to play it for the people them. But one thing you don't hear about now, I'm going to also give you an extract from that, is the attempted coup that take place in a Burkina Faso against Traore. What a judgment. The man them and next time again decides that they want to get rid of him. But guess what? The people them rise up for Ibrahim. The people them rise up for him. And just crash that without a gunshot fire. Them crash that. So Traore is still the president of Burkina Faso. That is so much time them try to get rid of him. You know, so you have people where sleep in front of him where him live, in the street, sleep, so them protect the president. You ever hear anything like that? People, it's like, you know, say, you know, say, the Prime Minister of Jamaica live up at Beverly Hills, and people go up there, go just camp out. So they might protect him. Well, that is what the people them do in Burkina Faso. So them try a coup, and we want to play the clip where them talk about this coup, this attempted coup, and them claim says is a man when they coup from Ivory Coast. I try coup him back. It never worked. It never worked. So we will come forward, take a break and come forward. Break 14 people. When we say shot, we are talking about dead, And then we are talking about, How much days gone? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 people, police shot since the year start. Confrontation with police. Now, hear my something now. I don't know if me have no sense or something. But me want to say it, and me say it already. According to the official thing where we hear, the Prime Minister run up his mouth about and the Minister of Security, where him did I say, how much years now, 3 years, him say, he will feel comfortable if the murder rate go down to 800 murders. He will feel comfortable. So I want to tell him now, so him supposed to go take all a bath now, and also find a waterfall, go to Duns River now and go have a party and cheer himself, because according to the report, murder in 2025, which is last year, it gone down. It gone to 673. 673. The murder rate gone down. That is very commendable. But, and we are talking about the but, is a big B, big U, big T, T. But, here where them say now, people killed by the police last year is 311 people. I will say youth, because I appear youth to get shot by police. 311 people killed by police last year. Now, me want to ask the people them who are spout the 673. The 311 people were killed by police. How much of those people is counted as legitimate criminals or was just shot because his police killed them? It means we now go hear how much of those 311 people is really killers or murderers or gunmen. We now go know, because them now go check it and tell we. Them now go check it and tell we. Oh, we going to know, say, out of that 300 killed by police, maybe 310 of them is gunman. Maybe 310 is gunman, and one is only one man in there. We're really all right. We don't know. And we don't know if 310 man in there was all right and is one man in there guilty. Oh, we're going to know that. We're not going to know that because them not going to tell we. Them not going to tell we, say, 311 people get murdered by police. Them are going to tell we, say, 311 people was shooting after police and police fire back at them to protect themselves. And it end up that it's 311 people dead by the police, killed by police. No, I have nothing against the police. I have nothing against them doing them job. But And there is a but. How we're going to know that criminal activity never take place when those 300 odd people was killed by the police? How we going to know that the woman who called me 3 weeks ago and said, Muta, police coming at my house and shot my baby father, sir. Them tell her if I go in the next room and them push him in a one room and fire 2 shots here, 2 shots in there and kill him. We don't know. That's what she say. It's what she say. I do have no reason for feel say she called the radio bad just to come tell me lie. I don't know where the brother involved in her. Maybe him involved in her something. I don't know. But the way she tell me that she them get them kill him is not so you're supposed to go at your job as a police. All we're going to know is Indicom going to make us know that the total murder in Jamaica is not really 673 last year, but we may have to add 300 more people upon that. We'll add up to 973. But we're not going to know because it's common people. It's common people. They're not going to tell you, say, the police is going beyond duty. Extrajudicial killings is rampant in Jamaica. And most of the youth them who dead, we're not going to know if them did really pull a gun after the police. Because we had time and time again hear that police plant gun from people. Remember the incident out of East there, where Indicom realized it's a gun the police plant and kill the youth. How we going to know how much people actually dead illegally, murdered, not only by gunman, which is there so the 670 are supposed to there, but some of it also in the 311 killed by police. 311 people killed by police, that's almost half of the murder. No, Rasta, that about half away. Dead. Murdered by normal gunman. Kill one another and kill people. How we're going to know who's going to come to the aid of boggling minds like mine to say, yes, the rate gone down according to them, but the police killing gone up according to them. And true we know the history of corrupt police in Jamaica. And true them insist, say the body camera is not for them. Because we hear about a policeman, when them ask him about the body camera, him say, him never have the clip. I tell you, no, all the policemen, him should have got jail. Him had do rounds and rounds and rounds on the road. And him have the body camera, and him say, the reason why it never on when him execute the duty of a police officer was because him never have the clip. To clip it on upon himself. What kind of madness that? And we supposed to know respect we are going in the community of evil demonstrated by law officers and politicians. Because we don't understand how come the people them tell them buy how much camera to stick on the police them that we can have no doubt. You know, long we are talking about this. You know, long no matter what them have camera. See when them talk when them have 200 police car ready. Which part of 200? Up to now, you know about them 200 police car there, you know. And I can call out a whole heap of criminal activity where don't come to no bump yet and don't come to no court. Some of the biggest criminal activities, we're forced to think certain things where we don't want to think, but it leaves us no choice to go in our head cup and say, I wonder it's because of who commit the crime. Why you don't hear nothing more about it? Like the large quantity of cocaine that was found in a security guard van heading from Mobi and that was confiscated. That plane, that land. And when them find the plane, them never find nobody in the plane. The big catch of drugs, where them find in a rockabessa in the airport there. The Alfremin airport, them call it. Madness, they call it the Alfremin airport. But we know you're not more about that. We can go on and on and on and on and on and on and on about it. And it still reveal that something is intrinsically corrupt in Jamaica. That anytime you ball out, you hear people say you try to make problem. This is the stepping razor, the art of war. We're going to take a break and come forward. Brick was murdered last year. And 311 was killed by police, not out of the 673, separately. How are we going to be comfortable? How are we going to know that the 311 people that was killed by the police was legitimately doing criminal activities, including firing gun at the police? Because if you fire gun at the police, you must expect man to fire back after you, and you're liable to dead. So we don't have no handicap about understanding that. What we are talking about is 311 people killed by police. How much out of that 311? Because anybody that so can have family in that and no say them family, the youth who dead in that 311, never did a fire no gun after no police. Whole heap of man, whole heap of woman, whole heap of mothers can testify in a court, say, look here, my son never did a shoot after police when them come kill him. How we ever know? Because it's something we need to know that we can have more security in our thinking about the police force. Because if the year just start, and we see if there are 14 people shot by police in a late confrontation with the police. 14. So they are the 8. Oh, that go? How much parent I got to say, boy, I can't do nothing about it, you know, because at them, I saw them stay. Lose your son. Because you have some parents out there, you know, if no see them pick a fire gun, you know, and say, oh, one of them the police go and shoot you think me I come at your funeral? Yeah, man, you have people who think that way there. When them see them pick me, get out of hand, them say, me tell you all the while, you know, don't go down the road with them boy there, you know. Because them going to make police come angry, you. And them say, Mama, you don't know where I say, man, just easy. And them say, okay. And she say, okay. And look more here, say, I'm dead. She say, no, long me I tell the boy, don't go down at them places, don't follow them boy, they go nowhere. And you say, what happened to him? No tears for you. That is where it goes. So, it's a very important thing Not because me I say it is not important. It's a very important thing. 673 people killed last year. Murder with 673. And it all over the radio there. All over the radio. Everywhere you turn, you hear it. Yes, we feel good, boy. The police are doing a good job. 673, that far from where they did there. Because sometimes we have about 1,500 people are get killed by murderers, by thief and criminal. But now we are just 673. It make you feel like things are going on for Jamaica. But there's always a but. Always a but. 311 killed by police, separated from the 673. And we are asked a question right now. Because maybe the parents know how it works, because sometimes them kill all the youth them in front of police, Sorry, in front of parents. Yeah, man, sometimes the youth them get shot in front of them parents. Sometimes you see the woman them a ball upon the road, I say, wait, how them woman they are going, so. I will call them witness the murder of them picnic by the police force. Them witness it. But a poor people, them have no contact and no link. Them have no money for pay for no big liar. So them just have to just suck that and take that and live with that. Them say push a dog around for so long. One day that dog going to turn and bite you. You keep doing that to the people, them. The people, them want to know, why is it that the police force is killing so much Jamaican citizens without anything coming out of it? I am faced with that question every time I show my face on the road, to the point where the last one was a woman we called me about 4 weeks ago. We have to figure it out. I am confronted with it because them hear me promote on the radio. Them say, Muta, you can't talk about that. I say, yo, I can't talk about it. Some people that talk about afraid. I'm not afraid. Afraid for the war. How you say, man? But Muda did like no to. Muda like no to. Believe you me. Too much gun. And the problem with it, is that them police are now, them youth will stand up at the roadside 4x4 and 3x3. And some youth where did well want fire gun too, and them get the opportunity now for fire gun. You think them have any loyalty to the Jamaica Constabulary Force? I know, so them can't fire them gonna eat a food or fight. Yeah, man, a whole heap of them. See them have a nice uniform and woman them look, yes, well, them pants and them khaki business and gun shop at them side and all them something and them cell phone and them hand. Them alright. Because them get the opportunity now to fire gun legally and kill people legally without any remorse or without anything following back at them. But one to the mothers and the fathers and the brothers and the sisters, go at your job as a police. All we're going to know is Indicom going to make us know that the total murder in Jamaica is not really 673 last year, but we may have to add 300 more people upon that. We'll add up to 973. But we're not going to know because it's common people. with common people. They're not going to tell you, say, the police is going beyond duty. Extrajudicial killings is rampant in Jamaica. And most of the youth them who dead will not quite know if them did really pull a gun after the police. Because we had time and time again hear that police plant gun on people. Remember the incident out of East there, where in the come realize there is a gun the police plant and kill the youth. How we going to know how much people actually dead illegally, murdered, not only by gunman, which is there so they 670 are supposed to there, but some of it also in the 311 killed by police. 311 people killed by police, you know, that are almost half of the murder. No, Rasta, that about half away. Dead. Murdered by normal gunman. Kill one another and kill people. How we going to know who's going to come to the aid of boggling minds like mine to say, yes, the rate gone down according to them, but the police killing gone up according to them. And true we know the history of corrupt police in Jamaica, and true them insist, say the body camera is not for them. Because we hear about a policeman, when them ask him about the body camera, him say, him never have the clip. I tell you, no, all the policeman there, him should have got jail. Him had do rounds and rounds and rounds on the road. And him have the body camera, and him say, the reason why it never on when him execute the duty of a police officer was because him never have the clip. For clip it on upon himself. What kind of madness that? And we supposed to know respect we are going in the community of evil demonstrated by law officers and politicians. Because we don't understand how come the people them tell them buy how much camera to stick on the police them that we can have no doubt. You know how long we are talking about this? You know how long no matter what them have camera. See when them talk when them have 200 police car ready. Which part of 200? Up to now, you know about them 200 police car there, you know. And I can call out a whole heap of criminal activity where don't come to no bump yet and don't come to no court. Some of the biggest criminal activities, we're forced to think certain things where we don't want to think, but it leaves us no choice to go in our head cup and say, I wonder it's because of who commit the crime. Why you don't hear nothing more about it? Like the large quantity of cocaine that was found in a security guard van heading for Mobi and that was confiscated. That plane, that land. And when them find the plane, them never find nobody in the plane. The big catch of drugs, where them find in a rockabessa in the airport there. The Fleming airport, them call it. Madness, we call it the Fleming airport. But we know you're not more about that. We can go on and on and on and on and on and on and on about it. And it still reveal that something is intrinsically corrupt in Jamaica. That anytime you ball out, you hear people say you try to make problem. So we'll say it again, you know. if 673 people was murdered last year and 311 was killed by police, not out of the 673, separately, how are we going to be comfortable? How are we going to know that the 311 people that was killed by the police was legitimately doing criminal activities, including firing gun at the police? Because if you fire gun at the police, you must expect man to fire back after you, and you're liable for dead. So we don't have no handicap about understanding that. What we are talking about is 311 people killed by police. How much out of that 311? Because anybody that so can have family in that and know say them family, the youth who dead in that 311, never did a fire have not gone after no police. Whole heap of man, whole heap of woman, whole heap of mothers can testify in a court, say, look here, my son never did a shoot after police when them come kill him. How we are going to know? Because it's something we need to know that we can have more security in our thinking about the police force. Because if the year just start, and we see if there are 14 people shot by police in alleged confrontation with the police. 14. Today the 8. Oh, that go? How much parent I got to say, boy, I can't do nothing about it, you know, because at them I saw them stay. Lose your son. Because you have some parents out there, you know, if no see them pick a fire gun, you know, and say, oh, one of them the police go and shoot you think me I come at your funeral? Yeah, man, you have people who think that way there. When them see them pick me, I get out of hand, them say, me tell you all the while, you know, don't go down the road with them boy there, you know. Because them are going to make police come angle you. And them I say, mama, you don't know how you say, man, just easy. And them I say, okay. And she say, okay. And the more you say him dead. She say, no, long me I tell the boy, don't go down at them places, don't follow them boy, they're going away. And you see what happened to him? No tears for you. That is where it goes. So, it's a very important thing. Not because me I say it is not important. It's a very important thing. 673 people killed last year. Murder reached 673. And it all over the radio there. All over the radio. Everywhere you turn, you hear it. Yes, we feel good, boy. The police are doing a good job. 673, that far from where they were there. Because sometimes we have 1,500 people are get killed by murderers, by thief and criminal. But now we're just 673, make you feel like things are going on for Jamaica. But there's always a but. Always a but. 311 killed by police, separated from the 673. And we are asked a question right now. Because maybe the parents know how it works, you know, because sometimes them kill all the youth them in front of police, you know. Sorry, in front of parents. Yeah, man, sometimes the youth them get shot in front of them parents. Sometimes you see the woman them a ball upon the road, I say, wait, all them woman they are going, so. And because them witness the murder of them picnic by the police force. Them witness it. But the poor people, them don't have no contact and no link. Them not no money for pay for no big liar. So them just have to just suck that and take that and live with that. You know, them say push a dog around for so long. One day that dog going to turn and bite you. You keep doing that to the people them. The people them want to know, why is it that the police force is killing so much Jamaican citizens without anything coming out of it? I am faced with that question every time I show my face on the road, to the point where the last one was a woman we called about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. You know, we have to figure it out. I am confronted with it because them hear me mouth promote on the radio. Them say, Muta, you can't talk about that. I say, yo, you can't talk about it. Some people that talk about afraid. I'm not afraid. Afraid for the war. What you say, man? But Muta did like no to. Muta like no to. Believe you me. Too much gun. And the problem with it, you know, is that them police are now, them youth who stand up at the roadside 4x4 and 3x3. And some youth where did well want fire gun too, you know. And them get the opportunity now for fire gun. You think them have any loyalty to the Jamaica Constabulary Force? And also them can't fire them gun and eat a food or fight. Yeah man, a whole heap of them. See them have a nice uniform and the woman them look, yes, you know, well, you know, them pants and them khaki business and gun shop at them side and all them something and them cell phone and them hand. Them alright. Because them get the opportunity now for fire gun legally and kill people legally without any remorse or without anything following back at them. But one to the mothers and the fathers and the brothers and the sisters who still are mourn out of that 311. You have mothers and fathers who are mourn and I say, my son never do nothing for them shoot him. My son, cause your man I tell you now, say, boy, Muta, you them think they go now. You know, so them youth, they will kill all people. I want to go be and come a Kingston, come live, you know. I rob somebody and kill them somewhere else. Listen to me, man. Police not supposed to assume that. So when them see you, them say, you rob the woman down and kill her, and then just carry you go in a car and shoot you and kill somebody. No, so I know so police supposed to behave. You have that thing in the justice system. I know we make it up, you know, them make it up. The justice system say, you must carry the man, arrest the man and carry him, go to jail. And then get a court date and then them try him. Guilty or not guilty. That is how Jamaica run. These police not business without Jamaica run. Them get opportunity for fire gun. And them a fire gun at will. And sometimes them fire it at jail. These policemen, them have the opportunity now to test out them skill in fire and shot, lick shot. You know, so police are get old a dance because them have fire shot in the year. And them they done here, so them not to do it. Man take out him gun and a fire shot in the year and them say them not to do it. And police do it too. So, me now come back on that topic here because me never wait to see if any of that 311 people the police killed, if any of them was killed deliberately, or did they do anything to deserve death? What is it that caused them to be killed by the police? Truthfully. wait to hear that come out of the mouth of the law enforcement in Jamaica.
A man was shot and killed by gunmen in Negril, Westmoreland last night. Dead is 52-year-old taxi operator Conrad Grant of West End, Negril. Reports are that about 10:30 p.m., Grant was sitting in a white Toyota motor car along the roadway when two men aboard a motorcycle approached him. The bikers opened gunfire, hitting Grant to the upper body, then fled the scene. The police were summoned and Grant was taken to hospital where he was pronounced dead. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness has reiterated his appeal to young Jamaicans, especially men, to reject crime and violence as the country enters a new era of peace and opportunity. Speaking recently in Accompong St. Elizabeth, Dr. Holness reflected on Jamaica's historical experience with violence and the progress being made. Dr. Holness outlined the trajectory of Jamaica's homicide trends over several decades, noting that recent figures reflect the lowest levels in more than 30 years. He also acknowledged that any loss of life is of serious concern. The Prime Minister cautioned against allowing violence to define Jamaica's national identity, stressing the need for deliberate change in social attitudes and behavior. Pointing to Accompong as an example of peaceful coexistence, the Prime Minister said the community's experience offers valuable lessons for the rest of the country. The National Fisheries Authority, NFA, has noted that it is ready to accept applications for license to fish for conch and the allocation of individual catch quotas for the 2026 conch fishing season. This year's conch season begins on March 1. The authority indicates that the deadline for receiving all applications for industrial and artisanal fishers is 4 p.m. on Friday, January 30. Applications with supporting documents must be submitted at the National Fisheries Authority's head office. Applications submitted or received after the deadline will not be considered. Finally, in news overseas, President Donald Trump has withdrawn the United States of America from dozens of international organizations, including many that work to combat climate change. Nearly half of the 66 affected bodies are United Nations related, including the Framework Convention on Climate Change, a treaty that underpins all international efforts to combat global warming. Groups working on development, gender equality, and conflict are also included. These are areas the Trump administration had repeatedly dismissed as advancing globalist or woke agendas. The White House said the decision was taken because those entities no longer serve American interests and promote ineffective or hostile agendas.
Time artists know where I go on, and them echo the voice of the people. Yes, so if you feel like saying, listen, you're in a serious problem because you're going to continue the same thing the same way all the while and expect to get a different result. When we know, say, the people them put you where you're there. So you must listen to the people them, and I'll follow up people don't have the voice for voice what the people them is feeling. So the artists trip in and come in it and use that medium to project the minds and the feelings of the people. So you go on. Hello. You know, we have as we tell you at the beginning of the program, we have a news report about what took place in Venezuela when America invaded the country and take out the prime minister or president of the country and carry him go to New York to go try him. them to say a drug thing, but up to now, them not mention the drug charge. Them are talk about some different things now. Different things. So, I only probably don't know what it happened because them say, at first them say nobody never did. I know them I say, the people them who surround him security, all of them are Cuban. And there's about 40 Cuban dead. Whenever I hear that, the first, the initial report, but now them I say, people did dead, right? And them also I say, them I ask the question, how the American them get for go in there and no shot, no fire, security guard, they like, wow. And them just walk in, take away man, in a less than 5 minutes, them put him in a helicopter and gone with him. So, we have that report. After the next ad them, we're going to play the report. Yes, we're going to play it. So we're there with you. So as we say, we're going to play this news report about Maduro and the kidnapping of Maduro. Yes.
Good morning. We continue our breaking coverage of what may be the most audacious military operation in recent Latin American history. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro is now in United States custody after being captured in the early hours of this morning. But as more information emerges, we're learning that this wasn't simply a military victory. This was a catastrophic security failure that began with those closest to the Venezuelan leader, his own bodyguards. The question everyone is asking tonight is simple. How did the United States pull this off? How did American special forces penetrate one of the most paranoid security apparatuses in the Western Hemisphere? The answer, according to sources close to the operation, is as old as warfare itself: betrayal from within. Multiple intelligence sources are now confirming that members of Maduro's personal security detail, the men tasked with protecting his life, were the ones who handed him over to American forces. These weren't low-level guards or perimeter security. These were elite bodyguards hand-picked for their loyalty, trained to take a bullet for the president. Yet in the end, they took American money instead. Let's start with what we know about the timeline of events. At approximately 1:45 a.m. Caracas time, Maduro was at a secure location in the capital. The exact address has not been disclosed, but sources indicate it was one of several safe houses used by the president to avoid assassination attempts. These locations change frequently, and only a handful of people know the president's whereabouts at any given time. At 2 a.m., the first explosions were heard across Caracas. These strikes, as we now know, were diversionary. While Venezuelan military forces scrambled to respond to attacks on Fort Tiuna and La Carlota airport, a much smaller operation was unfolding elsewhere. A team of Delta Force operators, transported by stealth helicopters, landed near Maduro's location. Here's where the story takes its most dramatic turn. According to sources familiar with the operation, these American commandos did not have to fight their way in. They walked in. The outer perimeter guards had been told to stand down. Security cameras had been disabled. Alarm systems had been deactivated. When the Delta Force team reached Maduro's personal quarters, they found only 2 bodyguards still at their posts, and these men immediately surrendered without firing a single shot. The entire extraction took less than 12 minutes from landing to takeoff. Maduro and his wife were aboard an American aircraft before Venezuelan military command even understood what was happening. By the time Defense Minister Vladimir Pedrino Lopez realized the president was missing, the helicopters were already crossing into international airspace. So how did the United States flip Maduro's bodyguards? The answer lies in a sophisticated intelligence operation that began more than a year ago. American operatives working through the CIA and Defense Intelligence Agency had been systematically studying Maduro's security apparatus, looking for vulnerabilities. They found plenty. Maduro's bodyguards, despite their elite status, were facing the same economic hardships as ordinary Venezuelans. Their salaries, paid in worthless bolivars, couldn't buy basic necessities. Meanwhile, they watched as Maduro and his inner circle lived in luxury, flying to Cuba, for medical care while Venezuelan hospitals lacked basic supplies. The resentment was deep and growing. American intelligence identified 3 bodyguards in particular who seemed susceptible to recruitment. The first was a senior member of the presidential security team, a man in his late 30s who had been with Maduro for over 6 years. He had a sick daughter who needed medical treatment unavailable in Venezuela. Despite his position, he couldn't get her the care she needed. The second was a younger guard, ambitious and frustrated by the lack of advancement opportunities in a system based entirely on political loyalty rather than merit. He had watched less competent officers promoted over him simply because of their family connections. The third was a veteran security official who had served under Hugo Chavez and had grown disillusioned with what he saw as Maduro's betrayal of Chavez's vision. He believed Maduro was a usurper who had destroyed Venezuela for personal gain. Making contact with these men required patience and extraordinary care. The approach came through intermediaries. In one case, a former colleague who had defected years earlier. In another, contact was made through a family member living abroad. The initial conversations were vague, testing the waters. Would the individual be willing to simply provide information? What about their concerns for Venezuela's future? Only gradually did the conversations turn to more concrete proposals. The Americans were offering life-changing sums of money. We're talking about packages worth between $10 and $20 million per person. But more importantly, they were offering something these men couldn't buy at any price: escape from Venezuela and a future for their families. The bodyguard with the sick daughter was promised immediate medical evacuation for his child to a hospital in the United States, with all expenses covered for life. The ambitious guard was offered American citizenship, a new identity, and financial security. The disillusioned Chavez loyalist was told he could live out his days in peace, knowing he had helped free Venezuela from tyranny. But money and promises weren't enough. These men needed proof that the United States was serious and capable of protecting them after the operation. So the Americans did something extraordinary. They extracted the families first. Over a period of several months, the wives and children of these 3 bodyguards were quietly moved out of Venezuela. Some left on commercial flights under false pretenses. Others were smuggled across the border into Colombia. By the time the operation began, these families were already safe in undisclosed locations. With their families secure and millions of dollars in escrow accounts waiting for them, the bodyguards agreed to cooperate. But the plan required more than just 3 men. A successful extraction would need coordination across multiple layers of security. So the 3 recruits were asked to identify other guards who might be sympathetic. The network grew carefully and slowly. By the time the operation was ready to execute, at least 8 members of Maduro's security detail were compromised. Some were active participants who would facilitate the American insertion. Others simply agreed to look the other way at critical moments. A few were told nothing but given instructions that would keep them away from their posts at the crucial time. The operation almost didn't happen. There were several false starts when Maduro changed his schedule or location unexpectedly. American forces were put on standby multiple times, only to stand down when conditions weren't right. The breakthrough came when one of the compromised bodyguards was assigned to overnight duty at the safe house where Maduro would be sleeping. This guard was able to provide real-time updates on the president's location and the disposition of security forces. He confirmed how many guards were present, where they were positioned, and most critically, which ones were part of the plan. When the Delta Force team received the final green light, they knew exactly what they were walking into. The actual operation was clinical in its execution. The outer security perimeter simply melted away as guards who had been paid off abandoned their posts or claimed they saw nothing. The Americans moved through the building, encountering no resistance. When they reached Maduro's quarters, the president was apparently asleep. He woke to find American special forces in his bedroom and his own bodyguards standing aside. There are conflicting reports about Maduro's reaction. Some sources say he immediately understood he had been betrayed and went quietly. Others claim he initially thought it was a training exercise or a test of his security team. One particularly dramatic account suggests he tried to appeal to his bodyguards' loyalty, reminding them of their oaths and the trust he had placed in them. If true, his words fell on deaf ears. These men had already made their choice. The extraction itself was textbook special operations work. Maduro and his wife were flex-cuffed, hooded, and carried to the waiting helicopters. The entire team was airborne within minutes. By the time the rest of Maduro's security apparatus realized something was wrong, it was far too late to respond. What's particularly striking about this operation is how thoroughly the Americans had penetrated Maduro's inner circle. These weren't peripheral figures or distant associates. These were men who stood next to the president every day, who knew his routines, his fears, his secrets. The fact that they could be turned speaks to the complete erosion of loyalty within the regime. It also reveals something important about the nature of authoritarian rule. Maduro's security didn't fail because of technological superiority or military overwhelming force. It failed because the system he built was fundamentally hollow. Loyalty purchased through fear and patronage is not loyalty at all. When a better offer comes along, it evaporates. The bodyguards who betrayed Maduro made a rational calculation. They looked at their options and chose survival and prosperity over continued service to a failing regime. They knew Venezuela was collapsing. They knew Maduro's grip on power was weakening. They knew that eventually there would be a reckoning. The Americans simply offered them a way out before that reckoning arrived. Now the question becomes, where are these bodyguards now? According to sources, they were extracted along with the American team. They're now in protective custody, likely being debriefed by intelligence officials. Eventually, they'll be relocated under new identities, their promised payments delivered, their families kept safe. For them, betraying Maduro was the beginning of a new life. For Maduro, it was the end. The man who survived coup attempts, assassination plots, and years of international pressure was undone not by his enemies, but by his own guards. The irony is almost Shakespearean. He trusted these men with his life, and they sold it for the price the Americans were willing to pay. This operation will be studied for years as a masterclass in intelligence work and psychological operations. The United States didn't need to invade Venezuela with tanks and troops. They didn't need to bomb Caracas into submission. They simply needed to identify the right people, make the right offers, and wait for the right moment. The bodyguards did the rest. As more details emerge, we're likely to learn even more about how this operation was planned and executed. There will be congressional hearings, after-action reports, and eventually, perhaps, books written by the participants.
Yeah. Yes. So, you hear the story there. Saga just continue. Because now Donald Trump has said he might go control the place until such time, and he might go sell the oil. When say a female oil. You can imagine that a head of state kidnap a next head of state from a next country. A head of state from one country kidnap a head of state from a next country, and now control him country and say he might go sell the oil to anybody who want cheap oil to buy. Never hear that in no history book. Man come do some things when nobody else won't think for do. Him come do it. It's a weird thing. Yeah, man. You see them shoot. Him ice people, them shoot a lady, 30-year-old lady in her car. Them a try to stop her and she turn her car for move. And one of them pull him gun and fire shot in the car and kill her in her head too. And they hear him come out and I say, the man never do nothing wrong because of the woman that try to kill him. She that try to run him over with her car, like, you know. Because the whole world has see the video in front of you, know, yeah? Them have the video of the whole thing, you know. And him come and tell something where him say the man who shoot her because she run over him there hospital, right? And suffer from pain and thing. And everybody has see the man I walk up and down in the place. when them done to the shooting, you know, everybody see my walk. And I don't know which part Donald Trump are there and I say these things. But as we say, it's a weird situation, weird time to live in. You know, so everybody I try to figure out, say, where them enough to say, where them to say, why them afraid to say, all they say. And it's supposed to be a free speech country. Yeah, you're supposed to can't say anything. As long as you don't threaten no one, you can't say anything, but you can't say it's not a free speech country. Because the highest man in authority, I say, if you ever say anything I don't like, I'm going to find something to put by you. Yeah, I'm going to find something to put by you. And that is really where we are going now. Everybody get by them P's and Q's. Afraid. Come like old time days in Europe, the rise of Adolf Hitler, when them used to have all these things that go on where you can't do and where you can do. And now we see America reach a stage there. America reach a stage. And we there, so we can't do nothing about it. Because our Prime Minister never going to say nothing to make them feel no way, you know. Now I'm going to play the diplomat. I'm going to play the diplomat. Him not care. Even though him is the head of CARICOM, but that now have nothing to do with him being the Prime Minister. And him now going to jeopardize anything to make the big man come tell him, say, watch out. No Jamaican can come America. A 3 countries say that now in Africa. Burkina Faso, Mali, and with the other one name again, and Nigeria. Them say, look here, if this man I tell you say, we can't come our country. We're not going to make them come to our country. And the woman who run Namibia say every American have a passport and visa for come our country now. Every American. So the African never fight back. The African never fight back. And little after this we're going to play the next one where we see, which is the topic now where nobody not talk about, because the Africa it happen. Them try a coup again from Ibrahim Traore. Them try a coup and it fail. It fail. So I'm gonna make you hear the news report about it. Man called Chronix coming through. You tell us we have our next news report. This one coming out of Africa. Usually when things are going on in Africa, you hear about it because the CNN and the BBC and them people, them hardly carry it. Because this one is an Africa problem, African situation, where a man try to overthrow Traore. And it's not the first them try to, it's not the second, not the third time. But I don't know if the people them know this, but you see which part Traore live, where him house there. In the night, people they go spread out things and lay down in front of the building to make sure, say, no guy no come near him. That is something else in its own self. Yeah, man. They make the president sleep and them watch. And that is how you have this coup where supposed to take place, where no bullet, no fire. And them just come circumvent the whole thing and no say, no, we can't afford to make this happen. Them come every time, come kill off certain leaders. We're not going to make them kill that one just so, you know, see it. And that is what them do. So, it's a big thing. It's a big thing where you're going to hear about it. It's a big, big thing.
Greetings to all Africans at home and across the global African family. Today is Sunday, January 4th, 2026. My name is Akosua Prempe, and I am broadcasting from United States of Africa, a platform dedicated to African unity, sovereignty, truth, and the defense of our collective future. In today's broadcast, we bring you a serious and sensitive report from Burkina Faso, one that reveals not only an attempted attack on a nation's leadership, but also the evolving nature of modern coups in Africa. Coups that are no longer announced with tanks on the streets, but quietly planned through covert communication, foreign coordination, and proxy networks. According to credible intelligence sources, a coup attempt was being carefully planned against the current authorities of Burkina Faso. This plot never reached the execution stage, not because it failed on its own, but because it was detected early and dismantled completely by the country's military and intelligence services before a single shot was fired. The plan reportedly involved multiple layers of coordination. Individuals operating inside Burkina Faso were allegedly working in connection with external actors based outside the country. Communications were ongoing, strategies were being adjusted, and targets were being discussed. Among the objectives reportedly identified was strategic military infrastructure, including a drone command and control center, as well as key figures within the national leadership. What the plotters did not realize was that every stage of their communication was already under surveillance. Burkina Faso's intelligence services had intercepted messages, monitored movements, and mapped out the network long before the plot could advance. In fact, it is widely believed that the country's leadership was aware of the threat days in advance, allowing security forces to act calmly, methodically, and without panic. At approximately 11 p.m., arrests were carried out across different locations. There was no gunfire, no confrontation, and no public disturbance. Suspects were taken into custody peacefully. During questioning, evidence retrieved from their own devices confirmed the existence of the plan, exposing communication trails, coordination efforts, and intended targets. By the time the public learned of the attempted coup, it had already been neutralized. Reports further allege that the operation had external backing, involving actors who continue to view Africa through a colonial lens, believing that African nations can still be destabilized when their political direction no longer serves foreign interests. The name of a former Burkinabe leader, now reportedly operating from outside the country, has been linked to the coordination of this plot, alongside connections to terrorist-linked networks that have recently failed to penetrate Burkina Faso due to effective preemptive military action. As news of the foiled coup spread, citizens responded not with fear, but with mobilization and confidence. In cities such as Bobo Dioulasso, hundreds gathered late into the night at public squares, declaring their unwavering support for the current leadership and their refusal to return to an era of manipulation, instability, and suffering. For many, this moment symbolized not just the failure of a coup, but the strength of a people determined to defend their sovereignty. This report is not only about Burkina Faso. It raises broader questions about regional security, foreign interference, and the growing resistance of African populations against externally driven destabilization. It also highlights a shift taking place across the continent, where intelligence, popular support, and political awareness are increasingly aligned. Before the full report begins, we invite you to subscribe to this channel, like this video, share it widely, and leave your comments. Your engagement helps connect Africans across borders, counters misinformation, and strengthens the collective African voice.
For Captain Ibrahim Traoré, no hour is too late to sound the call for mobilization, not even at 11 p.m. And this is a massive mobilization of the Bobolese population on the night of January 3rd into the early morning of the 4th at Tiefo Amoro Square. Under the leadership of the Hoet Citizens Watch, the protesters are conveying a message. No destabilization of their emblematic leader's power is possible.
Tonight, January 3rd, 2024, we learn with great sadness and with great bitterness that the enemies of the nation have once again attempted to undermine the triumphant march of the Burkinabe people towards their total sovereignty. And we have come out to remind all those who are power hungry and think they can drag us back into deceit, who think they can drag us back into the suffering we are leaving behind, let them know that the people of Burkina Faso have said no. We do not agree, and we condemn with every last bit of our energy any attempt to destabilize the power of the people, which is that of the MPSR-2, under the enlightened leadership of Comrade Captain Ibrahim Traoré.
The saboteurs have organized themselves once again, regrouping after their several failed attempts in the past. Despite these previous failures, they have once more found the determination and courage to come together and orchestrate another coup d'etat. Their plan, which was intended to seize power and overthrow the current leadership, was ultimately discovered and valiantly foiled by a group of highly capable and vigilant men, whose swift and decisive actions ensured the coup did not succeed. Because when Captain Ibrahim Traoré came to power, we told the entire world that he has surrounded himself with capable men to save Burkina Faso. Those men have sworn an oath with the people of Burkina Faso that Captain Ibrahim Traoré is the apple of our eye. Today, the coup d'etat has been successfully thwarted.
Have come out in massive numbers. In Bobo Dioulasso, we are currently precisely at the square. For the Citizens Watch, the actions of the MPSR-2 are tangible. Burkina Faso has embarked on a good dynamic of development, and we must stay the course against all odds.
I don't know how anyone can be against this man, who has given his all for this nation. You just have to look at the development that's been underway for the last 2-3 years. So we, the youth of Burkina Faso, we tell them to go to hell.
We have just made a call to our youth, a conscious youth, a committed and determined youth, a youth that says no, and no one will be able to stop our revolution. The popular process that is currently underway with tangible results visible on the ground, and we say no and no.
And now the details. The St. James Police are refuting claims that the premises where a child was shot and killed in Granville on New Year's Day was targeted. Head of the division, Senior Superintendent Aaron Samuels, addressed the issue at today's meeting of the St. James Municipal Corporation. His comments follow reports that 4-year-old Romain Bowman was shot during an alleged shootout between cops and armed men in the community. SSP Samuels pointed out that police officers went to the house where the incident occurred to investigate reports of a gun salute. He noted that the officers came under fire and that they also shielded the wounded child and his mother.
It is never something that I speak on. If you follow the youth, I don't speak on loss of life because we are never happy about that. And in the process of doing our jobs, there's an investigative process. We allow that to continue. But I could not let it pass that it is said that a hoax was targeted. I will say this as well because I have been a child to the hospital, using their bodies as shield to the mother and child. So it's very emotional for us. So we don't take it lightly in terms of what transpired. And we continue to offer psychosocial support to the family, and that will continue. What we intend to do is work closely with the community so that something like this never happens again within the community.
Commanding Officer for the St. James Police Division, Senior Superintendent Aaron Samuels. Meantime, the Jamaica Constabulary Force said the death of 4-year-old Romain Bowman is not being treated as a police-fatal shooting, but the subject of a homicide investigation. The child was one of 3 persons killed in the New Year's Day incident in Granville, St. James. On Tuesday, the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM, listed the child as being among deceased persons in a triple fatal shooting incident. Today, the GCF said this is not supported by facts. Marlene Freeman reports.
The police said it wanted to place on record clearly and unequivocally that the inclusion of 4-year-old Romain Bowman as a victim of a police shooting is inaccurate and unsupported by the facts presently before investigators. The JCF said at this time the death of the child in Granville St. James is not being treated as a police fatal shooting. It said the matter is the subject of a homicide investigation which is aimed at determining conclusively the source of the fatal injury and the weapon involved. It said no determination has been made that the child was killed by a police officer's weapon, and no such conclusion has been advanced by the police, residents of the community, or any other credible source. The JCF said, more importantly, the immediate aftermath of this deeply tragic incident, the child's mother, despite her grief, publicly commended members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force who were involved in the operation, citing their professionalism and their efforts to save her child's life. It said this context was entirely absent from the report. The JCF expressed concern about the media reports on an assertion that is demonstrably unproven and contrary to the current status of the investigation. It said reporting of this nature risks misleading the public, prejudicing ongoing inquiries, and unfairly attributing responsibility in circumstances where the facts have not been established. The JCF added that beyond the immediate inaccuracy, there is a broader concern as false or premature attribution of responsibility to the police undermines public trust and erodes the relationships that have been carefully built between the JCF and communities across Jamaica, relationships that are central to recent gains in violence reduction and community safety. It said once such narratives take hold, the reality is that many members of the public will never see a correction or retraction even where one is warranted. The JCF reiterated its commitment to transparency, accountability, and the rule of law. It said where police actions result in loss of life, those matters are rigorously investigated and subjected to the appropriate oversight mechanisms. The JCF noted that it has a duty to challenge inaccuracies that damage its integrity and by extension undermine the collective effort to make Jamaica a safer and more peaceful society. It is urging media practitioners to exercise the highest standards of accuracy, balance, and verification, particularly in matters involving loss of life, minors, and ongoing investigations. Reporting for IRFM News, I am Marlene Freeman.
In the meantime, another man was fatally shot by police during an alleged confrontation in Linstead, St. Catherine today. The deceased remains unidentified. Reported at about 5:50 a.m., cops conducted an operation in the Cheesefield community. The man allegedly pointed a gun at the officers and the cops opened fire. He was pronounced dead at hospital. 1.38 revolver containing 6.38 cartridges and an additional bag containing 6.30 and 1.38 cartridges was seized. The Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM, has been notified. A policeman has been fined $350,000 or 30 days imprisonment for failure to comply with a lawful requirement of the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM. Constable Under Walker was sentenced yesterday. INDECOM says Constable Walker was charged for breaching Section 33 of the INDECOM Act. According to an INDECOM statement on November 25 last year, Constable Walker pleaded guilty to the offense for which he was charged. He was first placed before the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court on February 23, 2021, following an investigation by INDECOM and a ruling from the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. INDECOM commenced an investigation into an allegation of assault which occurred on July 28, 2018 in Lawrence Tavern, St. Andrew. During the investigation, Constable Walker was identified as one of the first responders on the scene and was served with a Section 21 notice by an INDECOM investigator to provide a statement to the Commission. INDECOM said despite numerous requests, Constable Walker failed to comply with the notice to provide the statement. The Commission says failure to comply with any lawful requirement of the Commission without lawful justification or excuse constitutes an offense. The Department of Correctional Services says it does not inhibit or restrict inmates' constitutional and inalienable right to legal representation. The DCS made the statement as it refutes claims reportedly made by attorneys. In a statement today, the DCS cited media reports where attorneys allege that they are being prevented from adequately meeting with their inmate clients due to restrictions on the use of electronic devices in correctional institutions. The DCS statement says these concerns were cited as contributing to delays in the trial of alleged Klansman gang leader Tesha Miller and 24 co-accused. The DCS, in clarifying its position, says it was affirmed during discussions with the Jamaica Bar Association on February 14 last year and further outlined in a letter from the Commissioner of Corrections to the association in March 2025. The department further emphasizes that any alleged violation of an inmate's rights should be formally reported. It says once received, such complaints are treated seriously and investigated in accordance with due process and the applicable legal and institutional frameworks. The DCS says it remains committed to balancing institutional security with the protection of inmates' constitutional rights and maintaining open channels of communication with key stakeholders, including the legal profession, in the interest of justice and the rule of law. Meantime, Commissioner Mason raised the issue at the DCS prayer and Thanksgiving church service this morning, saying no one can use the DCS as an excuse for not providing representation to their clients.
There may be allegations that attorneys are being prohibited from seeing their clients. Up to a year ago, the team addressed this very point, and I searched the files, and this claim went back to the early 80s. I would have seen correspondences to treat with this matter. And so it was easy, and the team is fully aware that it is the constitutional right of persons to receive counsel, and that's it. The laws, the Correctional Act speaks to this right. And thankfully, we have systems in place to ensure that the constitutional right is observed. And so no one, absolutely no one, can use this department as an excuse for not providing representation to their clients. Absolutely no one. And we will make this clear.
Commissioner of Corrections, Brigadier Retired Raj Mason. Lawmen, with the aid of Jamaica Eye, arrested and charged a wanted man on Tuesday in connection with a multi-million-dollar overseas employment scam. He is 52-year-old Horace Horton, otherwise called Dr. Perez or Dr. Madison, of no fixed address. Police say he was featured multiple times on the Jamaica Constabulary Force's Wanted Wednesdays campaign. Clement Reed reports.
Horton was apprehended in St. Andrew and has been charged with several offences, including conspiracy to defraud, 2 counts of engaging in transactions involving criminal property, receiving stolen property, obtaining money by means of false pretense, operating an employment agency without a license, and unlawfully making available device or data for the commission of an offence. Police say investigations have so far revealed that between August and October last year, Horton and an associate, Charlene Edwards, operated an unregistered business. The pair allegedly recruited over 200 applicants, collecting fees totaling more than $7 million under the guise of securing overseas employment. A report was made to the police when the promised employment did not materialize. According to the police, Edwards was previously arrested in November last year and remains in custody. She is scheduled to reappear in court on January 22. Crucial to Horton's arrest was the use of Jamaica Eye CCTV footage, which led to the interception of his vehicle in the Halfway Tree area. Superintendent of Police within the Counter-Terrorism and Organized Crime Investigation Branch, CTOC, Victor Barrett, says the arrest of Horton signals a robust start to the year for the fraud squad and CTOC as a whole. Superintendent Barrett said it is a new year and they are sending a clear message that there will be no safe haven for those who prey on the aspirations of hard-working Jamaicans. He added that they are intensifying the use of technology and collaboration with their stakeholders to track down those who commit fraud. Superintendent Barrett said cops will not only seek criminal convictions, but will aggressively pursue the forfeiture of assets gained through illicit means. The Constabulary Financial Unit of CTOC is supporting the investigation to treat with the forfeiture of the assets of both accused. Meanwhile, the public is being urged to report incidents of fraud by calling CTOC at 876-967-1389, the National Intelligence Bureau at 811, Crime Stop at 311, or the nearest police station. Reporting for RFM News, I am Clement Reed.
2 men have been charged for the offense of butchering without a license under the Public Health Butchers Regulations. They were charged during an anti-predatory larceny operation at a jerk hut in Hanover on Tuesday. Charged are 60-year-old butcher Narva Little of Caledonia District, Darlington, and 55-year-old farmer Basil James of Waterworks District in Westmoreland. Reports are that the Agricultural Protection Branch Area 1 team, acting on information, visited a jerk hut between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. The lawmen observed a slaughterhouse at the back of the establishment. On closer observation by the lawmen, the accused men were seen slaughtering 2 pigs. They were questioned by the police and asked to present their butcher's license. The accused men reportedly informed the team that they were not in possession of the required license. Both Little and James were informed of the offense. They were transported to the Ramble police station where they were officially charged. Little and James are to appear before the Hanover Parish Court on Thursday, February 5. Councillor for the Knockpatrick Division in Manchester, Carl Smith, is calling for more community policing in the area amid recent killings. He was speaking this morning at the monthly meeting of the Manchester Municipal Corporation. Councillor Smith said following discussions with the police, action is to be taken to restore peace.
Just to let this council know, I have been in dialogue with Inspector Brooks. I had a meeting with him and his team about how we can change things in the Knockpatrick space, and not only the Knockpatrick space but the entire parish. And one of the things we left that meeting with is we need more community policing, especially in the Knockpatrick space. There are persons who see the police as a threat, even as they do their work. So we want to change that dynamic. So we have quite a few things on the table, one of which includes a night league, football league, and other forming different police youth clubs in the city. So hopefully we can go get those projects off the ground, and we will definitely see a change in the Knockpatrick space in the near future.
He expressed that the division welcomes the implementation of ongoing curfews.
It is very unfortunate that I spoke about it in the last meeting that we were going on well in the Knockpatrick space, only to be extremely disappointed. I think there was about 3 or 4 killings in the Knockpatrick space, which led to almost the entire Knockpatrick division being placed under curfew. I am not aware if the curfew is still in effect, but we welcome the curfew. Anything that can give us a change.
Councillor for the Knockpatrick Division, Carl Smith. Meantime, Councillor for the Poorest Division, Claudia Morant Baker, revealed that persons of the St. Louis community were comforted by the presence of the police following the recent triple fatal shooting.
The residents take comfort in knowing that the police did a walkthrough the following day to reassure them that this is not their doing. It is unfortunately these persons came into their space and the police some persons do have concern that reprisal shooting might take place because they might assume that they were informed, but the police reassure them this is not so. So they just encourage the police to visit the community more often and that they can feel more reassured knowing that the police presence are within their space.
Councillor for the Poorest Division, Claudia Morant Baker. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness is calling on the church to play a greater role in helping to reduce social violence in society. He said while much of Jamaica's violence stems from organized criminal activity, there is also a significant element of social violence that must be addressed. At the end of 2025, Jamaica recorded 673 murders, marking it the first time the figure has fallen below 700 since 1994. Dr. Holness stated that the church can assist in lowering violence across the country through counseling, guidance, and diversion programs, which are critical to achieving lasting peace.
There are some other murders which will feature persons who have intimate partner violence issues, man and woman business. That is definitely something that all of us in here and the church can address. Quarrel over family dead left, domestic issues, domestic violence. We have seen two neighbors arguing over who left something at whose gate, and one just get vexed, pull him gun, and that was the end of that. Youth deviance. These are things now, the social violence, that we're going to need the help of the church now, not just in prayer, but in action. Because we must now, as a society, from the pulpit, preach the rejection of violence as a means of resolving conflict. The church and other entities must now be able to see very quickly when a situation could escalate to violence and intervene through counseling, through guidance, but also by diversion.
The Prime Minister stressed that the government cannot rely solely on law enforcement to achieve national peace.
That is how we are going to truly attain peace in the country. Peace doesn't mean the absence of conflict, What it means is that we are able to resolve conflict without violence. So the government can't rely on the police force and the army and law enforcement exclusively to achieve peace. They are an important part of achieving peace, but they are not the only focus for the government.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness, he was speaking at the 20th staging of the Heal the Family, Heal the Nation Day of Prayer service yesterday. Meanwhile, the opposition People's National Party has reaffirmed the importance of the church in maintaining the fabric of society. According to Member of Parliament for St. Catherine South Fitzjackson, for many years the church has offered selfless service to the betterment of society. Speaking at the 20th staging of the Heal the Family, Heal the Nation Day of Prayer service yesterday, Mr. Jackson noted that through spiritual teaching and other areas, the church has positively impacted the nation.
For many years, the church has offered selfless services for the betterment of the society, impacting thousands of lives with positivity. Through spiritual teachings, healthcare support, and emotional and educational guidance, amongst other key areas, the church has contributed tremendously to the growth and well-being of our people. I once again commend all the churches involved in organizing this well-needed event. May God bless this gathering, bless our families, and bless Jamaica.
Member of Parliament for St. Catherine South Fitzjackson, he said this year's theme, Reunite and Build the Family with Love and Forgiveness, is both timely and deeply meaningful. An American woman died in a motor vehicle collision in Portmore, St. Catherine just after midnight. Dead is 28-year-old Frances Brown, a caregiver of New York, United States. Reported at about 12:20 a.m., a white Nissan AD wagon motor car with Brown as a passenger aboard crashed into a grey Honda Stream motor car along Passageford Drive. The injured persons were taken to hospital where Brown was pronounced dead, while 6 others were admitted for treatment. Investigations continue.